would like to introduce a very dear friend, Karl Mehta. Karl is a world traveler. I've known him for many, many years. He's a passionate speaker, a coach, a mentor, a serial entrepreneur with multiple fundraising rounds and extremely successful exits over the years. Founder of Code for India, a 501c3 nonprofit. His mantra is think local and hack global. They're bringing together engineers who are building apps and empowering marginalized communities in India with tech-based solutions. It is my honor and an opportunity to welcome my dear friend, Karl Mehta.
Thank you, Vannaji, and congratulations, particularly to the entire Jupiter 360 team. The topic today, and we will keep it very quick. We have 10 minutes, and I know we are running a little behind the schedule, is about the art of fundraising. It could have been actually named as the art and the science of fundraising, because fundraising is both art and science, but that would sound a little more like my friend Deepak Chopra and make it more complex. So we just kept it simple as the art of fundraising. But I'll try to compress it down to just three key points to use to make the best use of the 10 minutes. And I call those 3 points as brilliant basics. So, it's always good to start with the basics, and then the rest will follow if we do the basics right. I'll summarize it upfront, and then I'll double click into each one of them. So the first one, I call it as DMF. Second one, I'll call it PMF. Don't worry about the acronyms. We'll get to that. And the third one, just basic math. So let's start with DMF. It's donor market fit. And it's pretty well known in Silicon Valley that if you want money, you ask for advice. And if you want advice, you ask for money. So that's a mantra that works like a golden rule in fundraising in for-profit, but actually it works quite well in the nonprofit, because nonprofit fundraising is the gentle art of teaching someone the joy of giving. And the joy is an emotional thing, and giving is obviously, besides your left brain analytical, it's also an emotional right brain thing. So if you connect with the donor, the relationship cannot be a transactional relationship, and as much as data is needed, that will come to in the second part. It's very important to understand that what is the theme and what are the impact areas that really touches the heart of the donor. And in today's day and age with the internet, it's really easy to research before you reach out to the donors and understand where their heart is, and then identifying that donor market fit. And in this case, market means, I'm using the terminology from the for-profit world, but market means the beneficiaries or the impact areas that you are addressing, whether it is job creation, whether it is education, whether it is food for life, and things like that. And then really don't use the spray and pray methodology, because that doesn't work really in a large ticket donations, but do the very deep research and identify the DMF. The second point is about the PMF, and which is a pretty well-known acronym in the technology startup world, which stands for product market fit. In a nonprofit world, product means the value or the services that you are offering from your nonprofit venture. Again, the market is your beneficiary, the target audience that you are supporting. Super important to have that very well aligned. And I think Jupiter 360 does a great job in helping a lot of nonprofits that I understand from Mannaji in helping you there. If you don't have this basics right in terms of, are you addressing a real problem? Sometimes a lot of nonprofits are addressing problems that has been solved or getting solved in a much better way. So is the problem real? Is it why now, in terms of what is the urgency of that problem? You can see that when COVID happened, you can see the urgency, and a lot of donations started flowing. What is the solution in order to have your product market fit? Is it innovative? Is it repeatable? Is it scalable? And those are the questions that you have to ask yourself. I know that we all ask, but we don't systematically and methodologically write it down and ensure that these are all working. and then having a proof point that shows that you have a product market fit, that your solution is actually working and it's addressing and it's effective, that really helps the confidence of the donor to ensure that, this is the place to put the money and help. So that's the second area. Coming to the third point that I would like to make is about the basic math when you do fundraising. So let's say you want to raise $5 million. You have to lay out the math in terms of, do you want 50 people contributing an average of $100,000? Do you want 100,000 people, contributing $50? Kind of the long tail. I don't know if you've read the book by Chris Anderson, The Long Tail. I would strongly recommend to do that. These are kind of the basic math model that is very important to just model it out, because there are impact areas that would address and would inspire 100,000 people, and $50, as you can imagine, is like almost nothing to people, and they can write it up. And you can very quickly get 100,000 people to write up. And if you're an effective user of internet and social media, you can get there. And you have now raised $5 million. You could also go the route of 100,000 average ticket for 50 people, but that would require a lot of planning, and that's also very doable. But then it requires the first and the second point very thoroughly in terms of DMF and PMF, approaching the donors and in the right way, so that you can get that 100,000. Or you could also shoot for having one donor who would give an endowment of $5 million. So these are the basic math that you should lay it out. Now, it's not one or the other. You could also choose, depending on what impact area that you're working on, you could choose a combination of the both. The second thing in modeling and which we do in our revenue modeling in a for-profit is, whether it is a one-time or whether it is a recurring. Obviously, the best model that everyone loves is a recurring model, because the amount of time and energy that you spend in getting the donor for the first time, and if they really like your work, you're doing an amazing job at engaging them, then you would want that repeating, whether it is on a monthly recurring model or an annual recurring model. It's called ARR and MRR in the for-profit space, annual recurring revenue, monthly recurring revenue. If you can dial it down very nicely as a recurring model, that is the best thing, because you get the visibility to do all your work, the amazing work that you're doing for funding, and you have a predictable cash flow that is coming in of X number of donors donating Y amount on a systematically monthly basis, on an annual basis. So think about that model and try to work on that. And the third point within that is about what I would call as the 5 touch point model. So once you've identified the model in the business world, when we are approaching customers in a B2B environment, there is something called as a 5 touch point. What it means is that you generally don't unlock a customer to say yes to your value proposition until you had at least 5 touch points. So it is important to not think about a donor relation as a short-term game, not to think about it as a transactional, not to think about it as that you met the first time and you made an ask, or you just invited them to your fundraiser and they will write a check. And it's very easy to get frustrated in a nonprofit. I have myself done a number of fundraising for nonprofit, and it's very easy to get frustrated. By the way, it is also very easy, without having that self-awareness, that you may frustrate even many times the donor itself, and you may not be aware of it just because you are being very transactional about it and you don't know about it. And the donor feels that you are treating me like an ATM. And when you want the money, you dial me and say, hey, I'm doing this fundraiser, come to my house, or, buy this ticket or do this donation. The donor doesn't like it most of the time. So that's why I'm emphasizing the 5 touch point model, so that it helps you to understand the patience and the long game. Like if you think about golf, there's a long game and the short game. Fundraising is a long game. With this, I'll pause here, and I wish you a great success. And more important than success, it's the joy. So since there's a joy of giving for our donors, I wish that you have joy in your life for doing what you are doing, which is a great noble work, great impact work. And we are all super thankful to all of you. Thank you and namaste.